what I want to do is I want to give you a bit of an overview as to how this subject fits together. This is not your standard subject. You've probably worked that out by now. You'll be working with community, you'll be working with one another. You're going to be doing a whole bunch of things and they all kind of intertwine and connect to one another. This is not the kind of thing where you can just take a piece of it, do it and forget about it. Everything kind of links together. So I just want to give you a bit of an overview of how everything fits together throughout the semester. It's really important that each week you do the work that's required, otherwise you're going to get behind and you won't be ready for the next activity. So for the first 3 weeks, from week 1, 2 and 3, the focus is about developing your team and developing an understanding of the community. Okay, so in week 1, you're going to be looking at who are you, personality, character, all of that kind of stuff, so that you can start developing your team. Now, you will actually be working in your teams, okay? It's really important for you to develop those relationships in the first couple of weeks because you're going to be working through those teams all the way through. And reports from students is generally what students find is this kind of teamwork is a really beneficial experience. They quite enjoy it. I work quite closely with you and your team. This is not one of those horrible team tasks where you divide it up and wish you'd be doing it on your own. It's not like that. Now, week 3, you're going to be starting to think about and get a sense of the characteristics of the community. So in week 3, you will actually be meeting with the community representative. And they'll be telling you what the project brief is. So each class will be linked to a community. We've got a number of communities this year. I think, what have we got? We've got Echuca, Rochester, Heathcote, and I can't remember the other 2, Ballarat, and I've got one more to finalise. So you'll be meeting with the community and they'll be telling you what the project brief is and what they mean by that. They'll also be answering questions about the characteristics of the community. So in these first couple of weeks, you'll be starting to look at the community that you're exploring, getting an understanding of how it fits together, what's going on there. And I would encourage you, if you can, get out and visit. Go and buy yourself a cup of coffee in the town. Go and visit Rochester, Echuca, whichever community you're connected to, so that you get a better sense of how this fits together. Now, this will be the opportunity to understand the project brief, to really ask questions and dig in so that when you come up with ideas, you will actually be coming up with the right kinds of ideas, and that's really important. Now, in week 4 and 5, you will be obviously starting to think about the project. You'll be digging further, doing some investigating, but you'll be starting to think about what's this project and how are we going to do it. Now, we know what we need to do in terms of coming up with innovative solutions to challenges is come up with a broad range of ideas and then pick the best ones as a team. So in week 4 and 5, you're going to be doing what we've referred to as flexi modules. Now, we will be really getting you to use the information from those modules to start thinking about how you might apply that to the project brief. So the example I often use is you might do the module on farming and you might think, oh my goodness, how am I going to apply that to improving the, I don't know, mental health of teenagers? But your job is to kind of go, okay, let's be creative. How do we take the content from the farming module and apply it into this sector? Let's come up with some broad, kind of crazy ideas about things that might work. Let's get the creative juices flowing. Now that'll be happening in week 4 and 5, and I'll also be running you through a series of activities throughout these weeks where we'll actually get you starting to think about, okay, what are the other ideas? So we've got some ideas from the Flexi module, but what are the other ideas? And so we're going to bring in a whole bunch of ideas from all different places. Might be from your own experience, your own lived experience, might be things that you've seen online, might just be ideas that you have when you go for a walk, okay? And this process is about gathering a whole stack of ideas and then funneling them down to the one that's going to be the most relevant. Now, in week 5 is the final week of the first half of the semester, kind of the halfway point. I will actually be teaching from a place called Renmark. I'm doing a big bike trip. You'll hear more about that later. I'll be teaching from there. It won't make any difference to you. It's just that I might look a little tired. But in week 5, because I'm riding from Bendigo to Uluru, so in week 5 we'll be teaching from Renmark and we'll really be starting to craft a couple of ideas. Now the reason for that is after the mid-semester break in week 7, I think, you will be presenting your idea, your baby idea, to the community. And you might even present a couple. You might say, look, we're thinking of doing this thing about, I don't know, planning around finance, and we've got this other idea about, I don't know, running a festival or something. What do you think? It's very much kind of low bar. We're just trying to get a sense of what's going to work. And the community representative will give you a bit more of an understanding on how that may or may not work. You're far better off to find out from the community that this is a bad idea in week 7 than over in week 10, 11, or 12 when you're presenting, okay? Now, what's going to happen after this is we're going to sit down and we'll have a chat about that feedback and we'll go, okay, what are we going to do? So if you might have presented a couple of little ideas and then you're going to decide, and then you'll be spending the rest of your time, we will be spending the rest of the time up to week 11 and 12 presenting or working out how do we present this idea in a way that's meaningful to the community. Okay? Because the whole purpose of this is to come up with an idea that's fit for the community, that exactly kind of matches them, that they go, oh my goodness, this is designed just for us, but it's also likely to lead to the outcomes that you were asked to kind of achieve when you got your community brief back in week 3. And one of the ways of doing that is creating resources that kind of show this is how we would do it. You know, make it really possible so that when the community representative watches your presentation, they go, oh my goodness, this idea is brilliant. Not only that, but I reckon I've got someone that if I hand these resources to them, they're actually going to make this happen, okay? Because really, even though we're chasing a whole bunch of learning outcomes for you as well, what we want to do is change the world a little bit by working with communities to see these changes happen. So then when you present in week 11 and 12, and you'll hear more about each of these assessment tasks, when you present in week 11 and 12, the resources that you present, so you might create, I don't know, you might create a poster, you might create a plan or a website, or, you know, there's all sorts of different ways to present this information, or a PowerPoint presentation. Then that information will go out to the community. And what often happens is the community end up using those resources to make grant applications or even to inspire people to make your project happen. Okay, so it's really, really important. Now, as you can see, the process is fairly straightforward. I'm going to walk you through it all the way through. I'll be working with you on these projects, okay? It's not like I'm going to send you off on your own, but all the way through, each step builds on the other. If you don't engage and deal with who am I stuff, how on earth are you going to know what your contribution to the team is going to be if you haven't thought about that stuff? If you don't create a really good team, I can guarantee you that this bit here will be a nightmare because you won't know how to work with one another. If you don't listen to the community, then you're going to create a project that doesn't fit. If you don't engage and come up with lots of ideas, you'll end up having kind of boring ideas and they're really not going to work for the community. Okay, so everything kind of fits together. Now, I'm really looking forward to working with you this semester. I think we've got some really cool projects to work on and certainly some brilliant rural communities that I think you're going to quite enjoy getting to know. So if you've got any questions, make sure you write them down, ask them in class. You're more than welcome to email me as well. Looking forward to seeing what we can come up with together. Thanks. See you soon.